Meeting to order. Pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'm going to ask to keep tradition going, open forum before the meeting. Anybody has something to say? May come up.
Good evening. Thanks for the opportunity. My name is Corey Donay. I represent the Big Lake Aquatic Association, just a little bit west of town here on Big Lake. And I have in my hands a signed lease for lawful gambling with River Oaks Golf Club here in Cold Spring. And sent the lease to Bridget and have been having great conversation with her about the process. And unfortunately, what I learned is Section 820-40 doesn't allow us to gamble here in the city of Cold Spring because we're not an entity in the zip code of Cold Spring. And I found that really unfortunate because we have a willing business owner in the area who's willing to sell pull tabs to help his business, to also help a nonprofit who's trying to keep an area lake clean. I found it kind of disappointing and short-sighted that the restriction would be so great when I think the local area goes beyond the zip code of Cold Spring. When I think local Cold Spring, my children go to Ricori, and I include Rockville, Cold Spring, and Richmond as part of the local area. And so had a brief conversation with Bridget about that process, and I just wanted to take a few minutes to plead and ask to help us go through that process to try and change that ordinance, to open that ability up a little bit more for other nonprofits in this area to be allowed to gamble lawfully in the city of Cold Spring, even though we may not be an entity in the city of Cold Spring with that zip code. So again, just asking to work with us through that process to change that ordinance and open it up a little bit. Appreciate your time.
Input. What are we thinking? Look into it?
Look into it, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Is that a state law, or is that just a city ordinance
That's our ordinance.
that's our ordinance? Okay.
So does planning take care of that? Look into that first? Who looks into this first? Planning?
Planning.
Planning? Okay, you two are planning. You want to look into it? No? Yes? Okay.
We can look into it.
Well, I guess we're going to look into it. No
Perfect.
promises, but let's see what happens.
That's all I can ask.
All right.
I appreciate your time.
Anything else?
Roger's my vice president. He may have a few things to add, but I'm done. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Roger Johnston. I live at 20919 Big Lake Road. I'm Corey's neighbor and vice president of the Lake Association. My zip code is 56368. However, I'd like to consider myself a citizen of the world. I'd like to address the policy of the zip code and the inappropriateness of that as using a measurement for the economic impact on the community. Back in 2001, we did a lake assessment program for the DNR. Part of the process of submitting that application was to determine the economic impact that our lake had on the community. And I can assure you that it's considerable. I have lots of data here which I will not bore you with at all, but the value of the property back at the time I did it, according to the assessment rolls, was like $10 million. I or any one of you, I think at this point, would be more than willing to buy all the property up on Big Lake for $10 million. This last Sunday at church, our minister talked about, his topic was, who is your neighbor? And I just wanted to show you, but these are all my neighbors on Big Lake. A lot of them don't have the same zip code as us, obviously. They do if they are year-round residents, but we have a lot of lake residents that are summer owners and cabin owners. Also on the way through, they stop in Cold Spring. I shop in Cold Spring. all of the lumber for my house 18 years, 19 years ago came from Cold Spring Lumber. I could have brought all my bills along, but I don't think you want to go through those. I can tell you the amount was considerable. Contractors were from Cold Spring. All of these people on the lake spend money in this community. The money that's used by our lake association to keep the water clean adds to the enrichment and economic base of the community. So I just want you to let you know that even though we don't have the same zip code as you, we do spend a lot of money in Cold Spring in this community, and we help to support the community. Any money that might come from pull tab sales, I can assure you is well spent, because that money is going to keep the quality of the water in our lake clear, which will raise the property values, and again to the tax base. I pay considerable taxes that go to the school here in Cold Spring. My neighbors' kids go there. All of the neighboring community in my area, those people go to school there. It's pretty restrictive, I think, to talk about if you don't have that zip code here in Cold Spring, that you're not adding to the wealth of the community. I think we are very much so. Thank you for your patience, and just wanted to add to Corey's points that we are indeed a valuable resource for this community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to be looking at the agenda. Any changes you want done, looking at it? Otherwise, I'm going to look for a motion.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Dave? So we have an agenda. Consent agenda. We have
We need to take a vote on that.
Yeah, we need to take a vote on the approval of the minutes
Yeah, all
of
for
the
it.
agenda.
Aye.
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 Against? Nice. Yeah, I'm jumping the gun.
You're anxious.
Okay, consent agenda. Minutes of June the 28th, 2016. Recommendation to approve the minutes of the June 28th, 2016 City Council meeting as presented. B, 2017 budget calendar. Recommendation to adopt the 2017 budget calendar and schedule the September 9, 2016 special council meeting. I'm looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All against? Ayes have it. All right, we're down to number 5. Public Works Director report. John Stevie.
Good evening.
Hello.
We got another thing added to the report, but we'll get to that at the end here. First off, the aggregate on Red River. Previously, there was, and Brian can talk about this a little bit more, but down by Holiday and Super America, there was supposed to be some flagstone type granite look or something, right?
Yeah, so at the corner of the driveways, or off the corners of the driveways, we were looking originally to put some sort of flagstone, some granite, just to delineate where people walked. That was something that was an extra. Based on the cost of that, the council decided to forego that. So we started looking at what might be some much more economical options to delineate where people should walk and where they shouldn't. So John checked with some contractors, got some bids for some exposed aggregate. It'll still be concrete in those areas, but and you can still walk on it, but it'll kind of direct people where to go a little. That the exposed aggregate isn't necessarily the walking surface.
And I think it'll look nice with the whole streetscape we got going on. And I've done it in projects in the past where they put a sealer over it and it holds up to the county or city salt that they put down and everything. So it looks really nice, and it does just kind of break it up a little bit. But I got 2 bids on that, and they both came in at $3,250. So I guess it's up to you guys if you want to do that or not.
Council?
Oh, I just had a question. So where is this gonna be by the driveways?
It's
So
kind of like
here's
where,
the sidewalk, here's the driveway.
you know, next to the driveways on each side, you usually have a little triangle piece.
Yep.
It's gonna be there, so it's not actually gonna be concrete, so people, you know, won't necessarily wanna walk on it, it'll kinda separate it a little bit.
Okay.
They can walk on it, but, you know, it just kinda keeps them on the
Catches their
sidewalk
attention
instead
when
of
they're walking
jumping
side-
all
in the
over.
driveway.
Through this area, the sidewalk is sometimes gonna be out by the curb, and then when we get to a driveway cut, because of the slope, you kinda have to push them to the back of that driveway apron, and then they have to go back out in order to get all the trees and light posts and everything in. So it's a little bit of a weaving path through there. This helps guide them around that.
Okay.
Any other questions? Is this going to be like a change order? No?
I think we would actually do this separately
Separately?
through this, with the city. We'd have them leave out spaces for it, and then
Okay.
we would do it separately through the city.
Once they get all the sidewalk poured, then we'll have the company come through and pour their exposed aggregate.
No.
How
So-
many spots is this gonna be at?
It's 8 total.
8 total spots. There's 4 driveways, 1 on either side of each driveway for the holiday and the SA.
Okay.
So the staff recommendation is to approve up to $32.50 for exposed aggregate rock to replace the flagstone sidewalk on Red River. Looking for a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Dave?
I'll second.
Jamie second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, my next item is road striping up in North Point. There used to be a bike lane striped on the east side of, when you drive into North Point, headed all the way north to the end of the development. And since the road was seal coated, it never got replaced. And it's been kind of an ongoing thing even before I got here, that residents were wondering when they were gonna get their bike lane back. So we went out and I sent out four emails to some companies to get bids. 2 got back to me and another one called me yesterday. Like I said, the one AAA service was $77.25. Century Fence was $6,300. And then I got another one from Midwest Asphalt out of Belgrade. They called me yesterday and they haven't got me the bid yet, but there's this new product of paint out there. It's not an epoxy. It's a different kind of product that is a lot cheaper. And he hasn't got me the bid yet, but he's saying it's gonna be a lot cheaper than what I got for epoxy quotes. So as of right now, Century Fence at $6,300 is the low bid for that. It is it would come out of the seal coating budget.
That's the line item, John? Seal coating?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Staff recommendation is to approve up to $6,300.80 for a bike lane striping in North Point. Any questions? I think it would be a good idea, wouldn't it?
Yes, it
Yeah,
would.
so if
Yeah.
we get a better, if you
I
get a
was-
better
I was-
product, then you're,
I was wondering if.
Even just a visual
should
of
we
it, right?
wait till next meeting, or can we approve this and still have?
We'll wait for that other bid.
I think it says
But
up to, so I think
Up to?
the-
Oh.
it's already in the up to.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's why we
okay.
put that in there,
That's
because there
fine.
was 2 more bids yet that haven't came back. And
Then I'm good with it.
All right, then I'm looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion then.
Dave?
I'll second.
Jamie? All in favor?
Aye.
update on the wells, July 18th, so it'd be, Monday. Trout Wells wants to go out and start doing test wells out there, so that's the only update I got on that. Sean and I are gonna go out and mark and stake out the spots. We worked with Stantec's hydrologist and found out the key points where we wanna go, so we're gonna stake those out probably Thursday, so. The other thing I got was, last week we had a couple power outages, and if you guys noticed, the street, the lights, the signal lights on Red River and Main were out the first time, and then the second time on 23 they're out. And it's a very big safety concern. Had a little meeting with Chris Boucher about it as well, and you know, it's dangerous for their officers to go out there. A lot of times you can put stop signs out and make it a 4-way, but yet there's no lights for the people to see the stop signs, so they're just flying through them anyway, or you know, one person stopping, the next guy's flying through. It's very dangerous. So we looked into they have a battery backup for street lights or signal lights, and I talked with Jeff Miller from the county last week at the construction meeting, and he said they actually put it in the budget for next year to put one in on Red River and Main. What it is a battery backup, so when the power goes out, the signal will automatically turn to a 4-way flashing 4-way stop. They had put in the budget for $4,500 just for their parts. After talking with them, it is a 50-50 split with us. I talked to Jody Tyke this morning, and she got a quote from Design Electric to put it in, and they can include it in the project if we get approval for it tonight. So it's kind of a last minute deal, but it's at the very high end, it'll be $8,500, and that would be split between the city and county, so it'd be up to $4,250 for the city share for the battery backup system. And then with that, I've been talking to MnDOT about 23 as well, because if we're gonna do one, you know, let's look at doing 23 in the future too, maybe budget for next year for it or whatever. And there again, it's the same situation. There's a couple different MnDOT ones that they have. One is very expensive, it's like $14,000. But if you go with an old cabinet that has less batteries, which would, they have a system where you can, if the power goes out, the light will function normally for up to 2 hours, and then after 2 hours, the batteries kind of weaken, and then they go to a 4-way flash. But then they can also put the system in like the county wants to do on Red River, where it'll just automatically go to a 4-way flash, which is the same price than $8,500 roughly. And that as well would be a 50-50 cost share with MnDOT in the future if we decide to do that.
Do we need to look at the other light then too? The one out by the movie theater?
That includes, I was talking about both of those out there
Oh,
for
okay.
MnDOT.
Okay,
Those would be both through MnDOT, and then the one on Red River in Maine would be with the cost share with the county.
okay.
So for the approval for if we want to include it in the project, it would have to be just for Red River and Maine. Yep.
But the other two are 45 apiece then, or?
Yep, it's $4,500 would be our share, roughly $4,250 for one signal, so it'd be times two, you know, almost $9,000. But that, I think we can wait on that. That's, and I'm still working with their electrical engineer on that, so.
Okay.
But I guess Jody did say that if we want to get approval on the Red River Main one, we can get it included into the project if she can get the ball rolling.
Can that go into that Red River project? No?
Yep,
It can get moved into the Red River
that's what
project?
she had
I would,
stated.
I would say it's part of the project costs for the modifications to that signal.
I think it would act a lot like the auto scoping we put in on the lights. That we added to it.
Yeah. How come weren't the lights turned just off for Main Street? I'm just asking.
For Main,
Yeah, instead of green, they're always green.
oh, they do turn red, because it's for the construction workers when they do cross,
Yeah?
then when
And
the
the
lights turn.
That's right.
And the pedestrians.
Yep, and the pedestrians, yep.
And pedestrian crossing. They can
So
push
it
the button.
functions
and
the
it'll-
other way too?
It
Yep.
does, yep.
Oh, okay, all right.
You've always just hit it just right.
Yeah.
Well, it is set right now so that it stays green east to west longer.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's set that way now, but if a pedestrian does come up and pushes the button, then it'll react to that, or if
Yeah.
you'll notice if a loader or something is working close to that intersection, it'll set it off too.
Because this afternoon when I went through with my truck, it was green, and this gal came right out by the bank with her bike, pushing her, just walked almost right into the front of me, and I'm just going by. What did she? And I looked at that thing. It had a hand poked.
So she walked against the signal.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it is acting, so
Oh, it is.
it's
Okay.
active, so.
That council, we will discuss about putting that in that one anyway into the Red River project, or not?
I like the idea of doing the Red River one now
I do
that we're
too.
in the midst of the project.
Yeah.
The other two, I think we should work
Talk
through
about.
on budget
Have a
season.
budget.
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
the
so
one-
too.
The one on Red River makes sense to me.
yes,
Yeah.
it does.
Yeah. So I don't know, John, do you need approval for that?
Yeah, I think we'll need a approval
Okay.
for Red River and Main Street.
Then I'm looking for a motion for.
I would think not.
Is it over 2,500?
Yep,
Yeah,
it's
just-
4250.
Is our share?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
So,
I'll make a motion
two.
to look at the battery backup for the traffic light on Red River and add that to the project.
Okay, I'm looking for a
Second.
second.
I'll
Stacy.
second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah, I think for the resident safety and
Yeah.
police officers, they all thank you for that decision.
Okay.
And that is all I have. Oh, parking plan discussion, but
Yeah, we put it there if you recall at the last, the mayor did ask that we have a discussion at the council on what we want to do next on
Ideas?
where to go with parking in the city. Does anyone
anybody have any ideas?
Yes.
Dave?
I know it's been,
I
we've
thought that
talked
would
a
be
little bit
blocked
about
out.
it,
I really thought 2 days later there was gonna be a fence across there or something
Yeah.
blocked off, but I'm seeing it's, as normal as,
Yeah,
but the
still
parking
that way.
plan is, for me, in the future is, the Keys boys, when I talk to them, they're willing to start negotiations for that building if we need that for parking.
Okay, that'd be a
So-
thought too.
Yeah,
The other one was east of, the co-op over here, the
but
creamery.
then the complaint, or not the complaint, was it's too far to walk, to park
It's-
and too
it's a
far to
half a
walk.
block farther than.
I know it, but that's
It's-
what,
It's not that much farther.
I was told by a business person downtown is, it's like,
And it's in.
it sounds like it's
The other
gonna
thing
be.
is, it's in between there and
The new and the
the
old,
new and the old, yes.
which is what we're trying to get, is the
To,
Yeah.
the
to.
movement between.
Yes. And that was the other
Yeah.
big thing about that. And another thing is it's right next to the bike trail, which there'd be parking for that then.
Well, I think the parking was for employees, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
The biggest
wasn't really
concern
for a
was,
biking, was for
right,
more or less.
But it would be,
But
it
if
would
the-
be a
but the-
combination of all, not
Yeah.
just for bikes.
Yeah.
But it would be a combination of all.
But since it's in that, and I happened to talk to those guys, and they're willing to open up negotiations. I mean, for
I'd
a while
I'd
there.
rather
was
see
this
the
there.
Veterans Park move down there,
Yeah.
next to the Legion.
Mm-hmm.
I've sat down with Mary and, is it Don Keys?
Down,
I went to their house and we had a conversation about it, and they're very willing to sell us that property, and they're very, very willing to work with us.
Yeah.
I've looked into all the petrol fund for the contaminated soils, if we run into that. I mean, we've discussed that in the past, and, I mean, it's,
Because with having to move the Veterans Park from up by the roundabout, we need a home for it.
Yeah.
And the Legion is right there, so that would be,
One thing, yeah, or
One
what the
thing.
Legion, where they would like it,
Mhm.
we probably have to
right,
think
talk to
about
them.
where, yeah,
Right.
not
I
where
think that
we
would be a
want it, but
logical
where
place
they
for
want
it.
it. Yeah.
I think that would be a very logical
Yeah.
place for it.
But I also go like, since that is further down, if we should open up discussion negotiations with Keys, just to
Mhm.
see where, we tried everything else to see where it would go.
Mhm.
This could probably go down the toilet too, I don't
Right,
know.
we can
but,
look into that, and I think we should look into that triangle, which I
Yeah.
think
I
is
think so, too. I
Burlington
think we should
Northern,
look
I think.
into-
They still own that.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
believe the
Triangle
railroad
Burlington.
owns that, yeah.
The one that has
I
the
think it's
gate
Granite Company.
that's just
Is
sitting
it
up
Granite
along-
Company?
This
How
north of
has-
Across
Teals, north of
Yeah.
Teals,
North of the trail,
Right.
Yeah, just north of the trail, there's a little wedge.
across from
yeah,
the
that triangle.
creamery.
kitty corner from,
Yes.
yeah, kitty corner from the
Mhm.
country store,
Mhm.
across from
I
the.
think
Okay.
it's Granite
That
Company.
triangle.
Is that the Granite Company or is that the railroads?
I
believe
think that's the
that's-
Granite
all the-
Company.
I think it's all the railroads.
Okay.
I think so.
that's-
I think they were
remember.
just using it.
I thought it was
Yeah.
Granite Company, but
I thought it was
I'm not
too.
sure.
But we can check.
Yeah.
Check, yeah, find out and
Mhm.
see if you could come up with, I don't know.
Couple ideas of
Yeah.
places.
So John and Brian, what, since there was a kibosh to that there, what, you guys are out there in the trenches, what are people, are they yelling at you, cussing at you?
No, actually, we haven't really received a whole lot of complaints about it. We had, actually some compliments from Subway and the post office that the construction workers are doing a nice job allowing their delivery vehicles getting in the morning and in the evening, so, I mean, if anything, it's
So
positive there.
the residents are getting to the post office because, it sounded like that the world was going to end, so.
I think so. I mean, I haven't really heard anything bad, too bad.
But I mean, you guys haven't, because you guys are out there, we're, into it. So far so good then, right?
I think.
Or does
As
the
long as we
light bulb
keep
get
accommodating
brighter
those
just before
businesses.
it burns out? Okay, any other parking plan discussions? But yes, with the mayor and everything, we need to keep that ongoing, the parking thing,
Mhm.
Something will show up and something will work and then it'll work good, so, but just have to work on it, yeah. John, anything else?
That's all I got.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, John.
Brian?
Mr. Mayor and Council. Little update on the project. You've probably seen that south of City Hall here, south of Main Street. They're got the road ready. They've got gravel on it. Curb tomorrow. They thought today originally, but tomorrow. So it's really coming together. We could have pavement very soon. So.
The roundabout.
When?
Yes.
Brian, I'm gonna put some pressure on you. I drove past the school today a couple of times for detour, and I stare at the roundabout, and I stare at school starting. What does Brian and John got on their mind?
The deadline is August 24th, and they know that.
They know we've made them us and the county have made the Knife River very well aware of that deadline. It sounds like they at least at our meeting last week, they talked about bringing in another pipe crew.
They put a kibosh to that.
Did they?
Yeah, today. But they have confidence that they're gonna get it done.
Because I thought that was gonna be one of the first things that got cracked
That's what
into.
that's what I thought too, and.
Yeah. They know they have to have that roundabout opened up and the school driveway paved before August 24th.
But just the roundabout pavement is going to be done, not what we all see, like the inside the circle.
No,
Right.
It'll
Just
just be,
It'll be a roadway.
it'll be functioning.
Well, then it probably.
Yeah,
but,
and they don't have to do anything south of in front of the brewery. They'll probably work that way afterwards, but they have to get the roundabout open so we can get people through, and then they can take them out of the school lot.
Because I saw there was a concrete crew working up at the school, so.
Yeah, I think, the school's talked about possibly repaving their parking lot with the whole process, being that Knife River's in town. So I think they're doing some prepping maybe for that.
I'm just curious, guys, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you guys noticed, but like Fifth Avenue too is taking a beating with all the traffic. There's some ruts
Yeah.
developing in that tar, so we're gonna have to look into something with that too. Whether it's figuring something out with the county and replacing it, doing a mill and overlay or something, because
And-
especially that first block from the brewery to
Yeah.
just past the creek is just beat up.
Yeah, it is.
And that's 100% from this traffic.
So the blue tank don't leak no more? Must have sealed the holes in it or what?
Well, they might be even past some of that dewatering through there. Or they'll probably be coming back to it. They did skip over a portion of the utilities
Yeah.
in order to focus.
I see.
Yeah,
There,
they'll be dewatering over the next month yet too, for sure.
Yeah, because they're, you know.
The DNR likes that setup though.
Coming close.
As bad as it looks, they like it.
That tar, that little curve from Fifth Avenue, is that settling away from the main road or?
I don't think so. It was always kind of set up a little lower than the other
Was
road.
it?
Yeah. I think it's actually holding up pretty decent.
Oh.
Should get us by anyway.
That's only got to make it through August.
So up at the roundabout, there wasn't any issues then, like why they didn't get started on it? Was there like, you
I-
know?
I think the
know
only reason
on the
was-
other end was the environmental issues, but is there any?
That's pretty much what's been holding them up was that and a few other little glitches. Some utility companies, some gas lines got relocated that slowed them up a little bit on some storm sewer and things like that.
Oh,
Even the environmental, they were able to work on other stuff at the same time, so I don't think it held them up a lot.
well, I'm just going by because my phone is starting to ring.
Yep.
so.
I think it was a little possible underestimation of how long the stuff was gonna take.
What is the estimate that we are behind? 3 weeks, 2 weeks? No?
They don't feel they are really behind. I mean,
Oh,
we kind of feel like they're a little behind, but they feel like they're gonna get it done.
okay.
And between us and the county,
We'll
we've been
have
putting
to,
the pressure on them.
We'll have to leave it for that then.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But I think that's what everybody's kind of thing is, they've been watching that roundabout.
Yeah.
I think when they get in there, it'll probably go pretty quick. They don't have a lot of grading to do. It helps that they can build it without traffic on it. Sometimes they end up building them with traffic on, and that slows them down.
I think the big thing is that people can see the streets, but they can't visualize that roundabout.
Yeah.
That's why people are so anxious to see
They're
it.
waiting for it.
Yep,
I would say in another 2 weeks, they're gonna see some serious progress up there.
okay.
Okay. Keep going, Brian.
Otherwise, yeah, sanitary and water is ongoing. Doing some last minute realigning of driveways down by the Holiday, trying to work with both the SA and the Holiday folks with the new Wenner plat in there. There was a little triangle on the east side, if you recall, that the railroad required them to buy. So originally that they had talked about trying to sell that piece. None of that ever happened. We had a meeting last week talking about that they might try to get some cross easements worked out so we could shift the driveway a little bit. So that work is ongoing. We're still trying to finalize that, getting the two property owners to work together.
That realigning that street, was that very hard to do?
They did run into some rock there, which we figured they would. So I think we got through most of that though.
Okay.
Otherwise, the electric relocations, unless there were any other project things, I'll move on to the electric.
Any other questions?
No.
On that? All right.
So I think last meeting, John and Bridget, I kind of brought you up to speed on where the electric relocations were at. We're still waiting on Excel. I talked to him today. He should have me in agreement by the end of the week. They got slowed down by the storms as well. Basically just a new agreement taking out a lot of the stuff on the east side of Red River, up by the hardware store subway area. So I guess what I'd be looking for first is approval from the council that as soon as that agreement from Excel comes, that city staff or the mayor would have approval to sign that so that we can keep the process moving. I know the county is starting to wait on Excel to get their poles moved. Some of them are in the curb line, some of them are in the way. So the faster we can get that agreement signed, the quicker Excel can actually start working.
So the recommendation is to approve the entering into an amended contract with Xcel Energy to relocate electric lines. That's what we're looking for?
Correct.
Looking for a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Jamie?
I'll second it.
Dave? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, next, so because of some of those changes, the city's electrician on this relocation, Faber Electric, has a few changes as well. We had some behind the sidebar in the state bank. We redid a little bit from what our plan was. In order to redo that plan, it takes a little bit extra wire, a little bit more length, and a little bit heavier wire. But we are saving on the fact that we now no longer need to obtain an easement from the sidebar. So the sidebar before we were going to have the city obtain an easement and Excel put those lines in that easement. At this point, it's all going to be private on their lots, so we don't need to do that. So we save there, and we also save from less wire from Excel and a cheaper transformer. So I don't know the exact savings from Excel, but I'm going to say it's a wash, pretty easy.
But Faber Electric change order, the recommendation you're asking for is to approve the change order with Faber Electric for the city portion of the electric line relocation project. Motion?
I'll make a motion.
Dave?
I'll second it.
Dave? All in favor? Aye.
Will there be another change order with removal of all the stuff on the east side?
I guess, are you talking with Excel or with?
Well, was Faber had work on the east side that he's not gonna have to
He had
do
work
now?
that he's not gonna do, and he had given us prices for that work. He had broken it out by property, so he
Okay.
just won't be charging us for
So
that
we don't
work.
have to do a change order for that part of it?
No, that was in
Okay.
that contract we approved last time.
Okay,
And it had it broken out by part.
yeah, east
by
and
outlet,
west.
And then it said,
yeah.
if, within the contract, it said that if work wasn't done on a specific parcel, it wasn't paid for.
Yeah. Okay,
So that's about a $42,000 savings.
right.
Then that's just the savings from Faber, not the savings from Excel. Because the Excel, there's going to be savings from Excel for not doing that work too.
Right.
And those costs might even be more.
Yeah, that could be more.
So winners will still get their three-phase, huh?
Still get their three-phase.
Good.
Yeah, it'll just be on the power pole right in front of the building.
Okay.
Otherwise, contaminated soils, we're just, have a couple things we're trying to get lined up with the landfill yet. Otherwise, those are just about ready to be hauled to the landfill.
They're still sitting out at wastewater.
Yep. Covered up
How
in
far they
fall.
gotta go, Brian?
Becker, it's the
Becker.
Vonco 2 landfill.
Oh.
We checked a couple of them in the area. They were the closest and gave us a good price, so.
Always comes with a price, don't it?
Always comes with a price.
Okay, other things, Brian?
Any other questions on County Road 2?
Council, no questions?
Otherwise, the southwest infiltration, we have the contracts that are ready to be signed on that. And still, we did put out a Facebook post looking for people who are interested in boulevard trees. We've now opened it up to basically anybody in the southwest corner of town, actually west side of town for the most part. We included a map with the Facebook post showing, you know, the areas that drain to Brewery Creek, because that's what our grant is for. Basically, if you live in that area and you're interested in a boulevard tree, the city will put one in. I think we have 5 of them yet to locate.
So in the neighborhoods up there that don't have sidewalks, so they don't necessarily have a boulevard, their lot goes right up to the curb.
And that's actually better to not have a sidewalk because it makes it easier to put in. It gives us more room to work with.
Because I know a lot of those neighborhoods, there are no sidewalks, so it's just up to the curb with their yard.
Yeah, without a sidewalk is actually preferred.
Can we put something in the record?
Yeah, we can do that.
Just to get a,
Sure.
refer them to the website or refer them to
Yep.
the Facebook
Mhm.
page, but at least a blip to get,
Mm-hmm.
I'll do a press release.
yeah.
Otherwise, that's all I have. Unless there's any other questions.
None, that's it.
Got no questions, thank you.
Any other questions for him? No? Okay, thank you, Brian.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I got a sidewalk out there.
City Administrator report. Bridget, what
That's-
have you got this city doing?
Well, I was hoping to have some iPad discussion, but after looking at the various cities that do around us and discussing with them, we don't have a secure Wi-Fi that we could use. We would have to piggyback on the library, which is not something I'm real comfortable with doing. And so that kind of steamrolled into the fact that our server is budgeted to be replaced because our server's on its second to last breath. And so I'm looking at bids to do all of it together. So it's gonna be a little bit longer. I also might probably go notepad instead of iPad, a notebook instead of an iPad. Cause you can put jump drives into them. You don't have to each have your own.
Just rub and scratch.
Yeah. You won't have your own Apple ID that you'll have to use. And we can do any updatings to it by bringing it here and putting attaching it to the server. So it's going to be a little bit longer. It may still be iPads, but I'm trying to
So after all of
update
this,
everything.
too, we're gonna have to have some kind of a price, right? What are we spending, right?
Right.
Right, and I'll get to that. But the server's already been budgeted, and it's all coming. Get that approved. The Wi-Fi is only going to be about $300, which you could probably do now. So as soon as I get each part priced out, I'll let you know.
Okay.
I like the idea. I don't know.
Yes,
I love
I
that
do
idea.
too.
I like the idea better of a notebook than an iPad
Yeah.
because
Yeah, and then those other,
big files
that
can
I
be put
get
on a jump drive.
on the emails and stuff like that, that'll be on there and that'll be
Yep,
nice
yep.
instead of,
Mhm.
no.
And then Fifth Monday is meeting again, August 29th. And I'm learning what that is since it hasn't met since I've been here. There was one Fifth Monday, but it was the holiday Monday. And Heidi from Wakefield Township has graciously offered to host since we're supposed to, and I don't even know what it is. So she's going to let me watch and observe so we can do the next one. But it'll be August 29th.
And
I'm-
who's hosting it?
Wakefield.
Wakefield is.
hmm And so she'll get us information, I'll get it out.
Thank you.
Thanks, Heidi.
Bridget, more things? There's gotta be more things.
That's all I had. Last week I was thinking to
it,
myself,
huh?
what am I missing? This is such a
Yeah,
small
there's
agenda,
two
but
things here, what the heck? Usually we have 6 or so.
I know. So I'm trying not to be so
Well,
long-winded.
then we'll leave it go.
So
So,
let's have a short meeting.
yeah, and again, any of the council wanna say something to the camera? No?
Nothing for me.
Ontario, nothing?
River Lake Days in Richmond this weekend. Patronize our neighbor.
They also have music in the park tonight. They have been having some nice music.
The veteran tribute one.
Yeah, that was sweet. Yeah. Okay, next thing on the list is look at them bills. Look at all them bills. What are we gonna do with them? I think we should pay them.
I make a motion to pay them.
Okay, we're gonna pay bills. I'm looking for a second.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, then, I guess I'm looking for number 10, an adjournment.
I'll make that motion.
Jan?
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good. That is it for the meeting for